Namaste, welcome to your yin practices. On this day when I am inviting us to work with the energy of the heart and lung meridians. And so we'll be activating the element which will nourish, balance, and restore us. Let's start in a comfortable seat. Have available to you all that you need to find comfort, ease, stability, a sense of being present without distraction. And so props aid us in being able to come into a pose and then pause within that asana. So you may want to have some cushions, large pillows, bolsters, folded blankets. And when you are ready, my friends, let's come to your mat and fold in the ring finger and take the thumb to the ring finger knuckle in Surya Mudra. The element we are working with is the fire element. In traditional Chinese medicine, the element most closely associated with these meridians is the fire element. In Indian philosophy, the element associated is the air element. And these small distinctions are sort of specific to the regional differences as knowledge spread out from India in terms of our practice of yoga, in terms of the understandings around prana, the vital life force energy, and the channels within the body along which that prana flows. So the heart and lung meridians are the channels along which energy flows. And that is the energy that we are seeking to restore, rebalance. Our mantra for today is the Sarve bhavantu mantra, the peace mantra. And we'll do call and response. And this mantra invokes loving kindness. May all be healthy. May all be peaceful. May all have wisdom. May all be blissful. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadraṇi paśyantu. Sarve bhadraṇi paśyantu. Ma kashchit bhāgbhavet. Ma kashchit bhāgbhavet. Om Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ. So we'll repeat that mantra together so that it flows. We'll repeat it twice. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadraṇi paśyantu. Ma kashchit bhāgbhavet. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadraṇi paśyantu. Ma kashchit bhāgbhavet. Om Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ. May all be healthy. May all be peaceful. May all have wisdom. May all be blissful. Peace within. Peace without. Peace all around. Begin to focus in on the rhythm of your breath. Your mantra is a mantra that you can return to in Sanskrit or in your language of choice. Notice how the breath is flowing through you. All of the places in which you may have an imbalance of health, places that are turbulent and in conflict, places where there may be ignorance or bias, places where there is sadness, discontent, over-attachment. And breathe into those areas so that we can instigate a sense of wishing health, of invoking peace, of connecting with wisdom, of moving towards blissfulness. Let's start by some gentle tapping. We'll tap for the heart and small intestine first on one side, and then we'll do the lung and large intestine on the other side. So when we're working with the meridians, they are parallel throughout our body. So we can work with one side and that will have an effect on the other side because there's a balance between the two aspects. So let's start with the small intestine. So let's go to the little finger, the outside of the little finger, and start tapping. And here you can use the ends of your fingertips and tap along the outside of your little finger, along the palm to the outside of the wrist, and then work your way along the outside arm. So this is tracking the pathway of the meridian, the small intestine meridian, which is the yang of the pair. And when we work with yang energy on the upper body, we move up towards the shoulder. And then tap here. So I have some real tenderness here today because my vitality is very low today. So here, I'm just going to move some space so you can see my body here. So here at the clavicle, where the clavicle meets the shoulder, the delta pectoral area, there's a little triangle of softness, a hollow here between the clavicle and the shoulder. And this is where you may feel some tenderness. So here, let's spend some time here tapping so that we can invoke vitality. This doesn't mean that we will immediately feel the benefits of our practice, but that these benefits begin to accumulate, almost like a bank account that goes into debit. Small payments into that bank account won't immediately bring you back into the clear, but it will begin to move in that direction. And that's what our practice of yoga helps us to do. So let's tap here for a while. And then along the neck, the jaw, and go to the underside of the eye, work along the cheekbone and around the ear. So the inside ear, and then you can go around the ear. Now from here, we're going to move down the same arm for the heart meridian, which is the other pair of the small intestine. It's the yin aspect, the cooling aspect. So that travels along the inside of the arm. So let's start at the armpit. Now let's start at the sternum. Let's start at the sternum and then work our way across to the armpit. So with our heart meridian runs inside, it is less accessible there because it runs deep within the heart. But here we can take some movement here and travel along the inside of your arm, pausing at the elbow all the way down to the wrist. So here we're trying to connect with our joy. And we're going to move to the inside. So that is a stimulation of the small intestine meridian and the heart meridian. These two come together, joy and vitality. Now let's move to the other arm so that we can practice the lung and large intestine. So now the large intestine is the yang. So let's start with the yang and then move our way into the yin. So here we want to start at the index finger. And so the outside of the index finger, traveling all the way along the middle of the outer arm. The yang is the outer side, the yin is the inner side. The yang is the protective shell, the outward looking self. The yin is the inward self, the self that others may not see or be aware of. So tapping on the index. And here we are connecting with sadness. And often there is a great tendency in yoga for people to turn away from suffering, to turn away from pain, to turn away from trauma, to turn away from sadness and grief. But in turning away, we are closing off the channels of expression, of release for those emotions, those feelings, both in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our emotions, in terms of our relationships, up to the shoulder. And then let's just take a moment here again on the dip here, because I just want to connect with this dip here between the shoulder blade and that clavicle. So this just doesn't, the large intestine doesn't quite pass here. So remember here, this is where the lung passes. So we'll just stimulate the lung a little bit. And then to the back of the neck, along the back of the neck, and then back along, tracing along the clavicle, up along the neck. And let's go to the underneath the nose here and the outside of the nose. And that's the large intestine. Now the yin, the lung aspect, is going to travel down the inside of the arm here. So my friends, let's start here at that soft spot between the clavicle and the shoulder. And you may feel grief today. You may experience sadness. But we work with this in order to move towards blissfulness. And now let's move all the way down. And again, you may have some tender spaces. And my grief is very powerful today. Again, there's some real tenderness here along the lung meridian. All the way down, and we're going to travel to the thumb, the inside of the thumb. And that's our meridian pathway. So think about this balance here. We have the balance of vitality and joy with grief and sadness, and how this paradox, these opposites of emotions and feelings and thoughts, are ones that we embrace fully to unite, to bring together, to integrate, to merge, to allow the movement of the heart, the mind, the prana, so that we don't become stuck in grief and sadness, but that we can move from it. But also that in our reaching for joy and vitality, we do not ignore and deny that which causes sadness, that which causes suffering, that which causes pain. Let's come into our first asana here. And we're going to move directly into child's pose. And child's pose is one of those asanas which is a very protective asana. So let's bring the big toes to touch and the knees wide. Now here, my friends, this is where your props may become useful to you. You can place a folded blanket between your heels and your sit bone here for padding. You could always roll up the blanket and place it directly behind your knees, so it gives you a little bit more elevation. Another place where people experience a tightness and discomfort is on the ankles here. So this is where you can roll up your blanket, And the part that is rolled up sits directly underneath the insides of your ankles, so that you have padding here, which means that if you have less mobility in that part, and many do, this provides support and comfort. Knees wide. You can use a prop here for your heart space, but let's practice this without a prop for the first moment. So reach forward with your hands and thread the right arm underneath your body and move your shoulder and ear to the mat. You may wish to place a cushion here so that your shoulder or your head is rested on a cushion. That's your option, my friends. And then when you have really shuffled that right arm, you can use this left hand as a scaffold. You can take this left hand to your sacrum, or you can tuck it into the top of your thigh so that you come into twisted child's pose. So this is Parivritta Balasana, wide-legged child's pose with the twist. Now you can see how by threading the arms underneath us and working that left arm around to our sacrum or tucking it in, provides and applies acupressure, gentle acupressure to the channels along which prana flows. Explore your subtle edges here, those places of tenderness, those places where you have a greater sensitivity. This is why you are invited to explore the subtleties here. These aren't big movements into an asana or a pose. These are small transitions in, so that when you come into your pose, that edge is deep enough or intense enough for your needs in this moment. And remember that edge can change with time. Sometimes it can expand and offer you more space. Sometimes it contracts and draws in. That contracting and drawing in is a way of keeping you safe and protected. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadrani paśyantu ma kashchit duḥkha bhavet. And now when you're in this pose, soften and surrender into the stillness. Accommodate any releases or back away from any strong sensations that interrupt the stillness. Thinking about when the water is still, it is clearer for us to see. Water that is moving or has great waves or wash, strong tide, strong current. It is less clear. And in this way, when we practice yin, we are looking upon the clear stillness of the waters. Take 3 more breaths here, my friends, to signal to your body that you're about to transition and move. Release the left hand and inhale, draw the right arm out from underneath you. And then gently, let's thread the left arm underneath us and bring the left shoulder and left ear to the earth or onto our cushion. Right hand can be used as a scaffold on the earth, or you can bring your fingertips high onto your lower sacrum as you open out the right shoulder, or you're invited to tuck in the right hand into the left thigh. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I have wisdom. May I be blissful. May it be so. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I have wisdom. May I be blissful. May it be so. Visualize the flow of prana along the channels in the arms, the fingers, the heart and small intestine, to and from the inside and the outside of the little finger, the lung, to and from the thumb, the large intestine, to and from the index finger. You can bring your hand into Surya Mudra. And let's think of the fire element today not as a roaring, strong, intense fire, but a warming, comforting fire with the embers glowing, enough warmth to sustain you, to comfort you, enough light for you to see around you, but not so warm that you have to move away from it to find coolness. Use this time to send your breath intentionally and allow your breath to carry the intention of health, peacefulness, wisdom, blissfulness. To all parts of you. Three more breaths here. And releasing your right hand to the earth. And slowly draw out your left arm. And here for a moment, my friends, seeing if you have your blanket, your folded blanket or cushions in front of you. Please place your hands, your forearms on your cushions and place your eyebrow center at the back of the hands so that you are elevated here in child's pose in Balasana. So create that small stack with cushions or folded blankets or a pillow. Cross your hands so that the back of your hands can support your eyebrow center. the eyebrow center, which is connected to our insight, inner knowingness, our capacity to see clearly. We're here just as a transition pose. We transition with care, tender care for the self, with mindfulness, with awareness, so that our system, our tissues, our nervous system are adjusting slowly without a sudden movement. Lift your eyebrow center and come onto your forearms. The cushions and pillows can go underneath the heart space. We're going to move into Anahatasana here. So lift your sit bones off your heels here. Have your elbows and forearms on the earth, sort of parallel, and your heart can be gently resting on a stack of cushions or pillows. And then when you're ready, my friends, you can keep your elbows close to you, or you can walk them away so that you extend your arms long, so that your heart melts down towards the earth. The earth can be represented by your bolster, blankets or cushions here, so that you come into Anahatasana, melting heart pose here. And I always encourage the use of props in Yin. So that we can be supported in our practice. The effort we are applying here is a sense of effortlessness, so that we don't experience the effort. And using the props helps to create the support, the safety, the comfort in which we can relax, release, let go. Otherwise, what happens in Yin, and we see this in many practices of Yin, is that the focus becomes on stretching the tissues, on increasing mobility and flexibility. But we want that to happen through a natural process of tender care, of a mindful awareness. All that it's achieved by those in very intense practices, it sends our nervous system into shock. And we're fighting and resisting the body. Yin is a cooling practice in which we go with the flow of the prana. It's not a heating dynamic practice in which there is resistance or challenge. There will be challenge, but it's not a physical challenge. It is a challenge to the mind, to the emotions, to the feelings, to stay in the pose, in stillness, in meditative silence, by connecting with our breath, by connecting with the flow of prana, chi, by connecting with our mantra. And here, my friends, let's send our intentions towards a friend, one who is loved, a family member who is loved, a partner who is loved. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. And so may it be. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. And so may it be so. From here, my friends, we're going to move into Sphinx or Salambar Bhujangasana. Now, slide your knees and extend your legs long behind you. You may notice that I'm going to use my props here to support my heart. I want to try and maintain an alignment with my elbows and my shoulders. It doesn't need to be strict track down, but so that they're gently kind of quite close to the underneath the shoulders here. The part of your heart that you want supported is your upper chest here, so that perhaps starting where your ribs are, but that your abdomen or your hips and pelvis are connected with the earth here. Now, my cushions and blanket are soft so that when I place weight on them, it gives me the support I need, but it doesn't lift my hips and pelvis off the earth because it's not so high. So if you're finding that your hips and pelvis are not firmly connected with the earth, then it may be that the support you have underneath your heart is too high. So reduce that height by either taking away some of the layers. Spread your fingers wide. Your toes can be spread, feet can be spread wide or closer together, depending on what you're experiencing here. We are focusing on the heart and small intestine, and the lung and the large intestine. Think about the role of the intestines. The intestines process, digest, and eliminate. So all of the emotions, the feelings, the sensory experiences, the suffering, the pain, the grief, the sadness, the shocks, the traumas, we process them through our gut. The gut is known as the second brain. And so by working with the lungs and the heart and then the intestines, there's a connection between the emotions, the feeling body, the body that receives in through the lungs, through the inspiration of breath into the body through the lungs, and then the processing, the digestion, the circulation, the extraction of what is needed and the release of what is not, the elimination of all that is not serving us, happens in the intestines. Here, my friends, from Salambar Bhujangasana, you have the option to rise into seal pose by taking the hands as wide as your mat and reaching them forward slightly. Have the elbows softly bent here so that they're not locked out. Because if you lock your elbows, you will scrunch up your shoulders. So we want to soften the elbows Soften the shoulders, lift the ears away from the shoulders here. Broaden across the clavicle, broaden across, lengthen across the sternum. The closer you bring your hands to your body, the more intense the experience will be in your lower back. The further away your hands, the more space you create. Won't be here for long. If this is not playing with your subtle edges, but it's playing with your hard edges, come back, retreat, withdraw, move away from those hard, intense edges. Because we want to be able to surrender and soften into the stillness of this high cobra pose. You can see how when we look at the practice of yin and the asana and poses, how they come from hatha yoga, from hatha yoga. Hatha yoga, often known as the yoga of balance, of activating, of dynamic movements, but also of cooling, still, slow, held poses. Let's have 3 more here. When you're ready, my friends, slide your hands towards you, bring them underneath your shoulders, lift up slowly, and let's take the hips back towards the heels. Bring your knees together so you come into child's pose with your knees together, arms alongside your body, palms face up. Soften into balasana here. Notice where the prana is flowing. Here, 3 full breaths. And inhale to rise up, my friends. Now, if like me, you still have your little creation of stacked cushions or folded blankets, please leave those where they are. If you don't, find something that you can roll up and place underneath your armpit. So be creative here. Let's come and sit on our right side. So the right hip is towards your cushion. Your knees are in a sort of folded in a zigzag. So let's come close up towards our cushion here. Now you might want something soft here because we're going to reach over and we're going to place our forearm on the earth there. So I'm going to just create some space. So I'll have my, this is not real, my friends. This is faux. So bring your forearm down. Now you might have to play here a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to experience what we call a subscapular release around the shoulder blade here. So you might need to roll up a blanket and place it right underneath your armpit. So it's kind of really hugged and tucked into your armpit here. And then lower yourself towards the earth. And here your right hand can support your cheeks. You can hold your head. Your legs are folded here. So you're lying on your side here. Like when you're watching television or hanging out, especially when you're at a slumber party with friends, having a sleepover, and you're chatting away. This release is that kind of release that you have when you are feeling safe in company that you trust. The loved ones with whom you can release and let go all of the heart secrets. And now remember this when you talk to friends and family whom you trust. This is opportunities where you may release some tension or conflict that you experience with others. Now we want to think about someone who is challenging for us. It's not the person that, just the person who's challenging. Perhaps someone towards whom you would like to be more positive. Perhaps someone who does, that you do have difficulties with. Let's send our feelings or intentions towards that person. I know it's not easy when it's someone who's more towards whom you are not neutral. So we don't want to think about like, we want to think about someone towards whom we could possibly create some positiveness in the future, or someone whom we can walk away from, but walk away with a sense of, okay, we did what we could. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. What I'm feeling, I don't know what you're experiencing here, but I'm feeling tingling sensations in my arm. And tingling sensations are okay. Tingling sensations is the prana beginning to flow, that you are activating the nerves. Three more breaths here. And my friends, we're going to move slowly from here when we do. And again, we're going to take advantage of this little stack that we've created. So inhale and slowly rise up here. And we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly. So leaving your support where it is, we're going to place that underneath our heart space here. But we want to make sure that our head is supported as well. So it may be that you need to just slightly turn this so they're, rather than widthwise, they're lengthwise. So it's not horizontal, it's vertical on your mat. And that will also give your heart support and your head support here. You should experience an opening here. You may experience some tension in your lower back here, in which case, if you do, bring your knees together and feet as wide as your mat so that you have a constructive rest approach. Or you can have butterfly, so the soles of your feet together and knees open, and support yourself under your knees here. Arms away from your body. Perhaps your hands are in your Surya Mudra. Slightly tuck in the chin. You may take advantage of placing another pillow just underneath your head. And now, as we're kind of working with these feelings of intentionality that we're sending to someone with whom we have a less positive connection or with whom we experience difficulties, let's draw back those feelings towards ourselves now, so that we know that even in offering that, those thoughts, those kind of energy waves, that we're not depriving or denying ourselves. So while we're here in Baddha Konasana, we'll chant this mantra for ourselves silently in the heart or in the language of your choice. May I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I have wisdom, may I be blissful, Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadrani paśyantu kashchit bhāgbhavet. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadrani paśyantu kashchit bhāgbhavet. Om. Soften and surrender into the stillness here. Pause, reflect, and bear witness to what arises for you without attachment to the emotions. Know that these emotions can merge, blend, move in, move away. These are not fixed states of being. These emotions, these feelings, these traumas can change over time. By seeking help and support when we need it, by resting and restoring when we need it, by caring for ourselves and caring for our community. Three more breaths here in our supported bhadraṇi or constructive rest with the open heart. The heart is the organ which governs our feelings, our emotions, our connection into and with grief and sadness. The lungs, often when we experience great grief or sadness, it can feel difficult to breathe. By working on these meridians, by working on these pranic channels, we're allowing the flow of energy to clear away, to restore, to direct the energy to where it is most needed in this moment in time for you. Preparing to move here, so our release is with tender care, mindful awareness. If you have your legs in bhadraṇi with helping hands, let's bring the knees in together. And if you're in constructive rest, let's begin to heel toe the feet into the center. And we'll get to roll over onto our left hip and come into our subscapular release here on this side. Again, move with care. You may need to make some small adjustments. Again, the changes that we're making here and the movements we're making here are the minimal we need to make in order to set ourselves up. And then really roll up that blanket if you have a blanket, or curl the cushion into the armpit. The left hand can support the skull, the right hand can be along the upper body, or you can have it resting on the earth like a scaffold here. The palm on the earth, bending your elbow. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. Practicing yin with your eyes closed. or your gaze softened to reduce the interaction with the external environment, to withdraw, to kind of come in, draw into yourself, pratyahara, is part of the journey towards dharan and dhyan. Dharan, focus. So we focus on the breath, we focus on the mantra, we focus on the intentionality, we focus on the flow of prana, sensations in the body. And just follow those. And then we find ourselves moving into a meditative state. It may be for very small moments in time. It may be for longer moments in time. We are never static in one state of being. We are evolving, we are moving, we are changing even in the stillness. Working with the heart and lung meridians is the key to an open heart, to good health. Remember here, let's direct the energy now towards that person to whom we may have challenge, or where our relationship is less positive or a little bit more difficult. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. And it is hard to offer that. I do not underestimate the commitment we make when we offer peace to others. This is the yoga practice, and even when we may feel conflicting emotions deep at the heart space, the offering up to that, offering up to them without detracting from yourself. You may feel righteous sense of anger or injustice. Even in that moment towards that person, we offer them this intentionality so that we can move away and come back to who we are. Come back to the heart. Three more breaths here. Inhale, let's release the hand from the head and rise up, my friends. We're going to move into a reclined twist to one side and then the other before we come into our shavasana. So let's take the your bolster or your folded blankets to the right so that we can do a twist to this side first. And then, if you're not already reclining, come down to the earth. And what I'm going to invite you to do is that hug your knees in to center in Bhavantu. And then release the knees to rest on your cushions or blankets. The upper body is connected with the earth. The heart is open. You have a twist here at the lumbar area. The thoracic is turning away and resting on the earth here. That left shoulder is connected with the earth. your Supta Matsyendrasana, your reclined twist. And closing your eyes here. And here, let's offer our mantra to all beings everywhere. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. Three more breaths here in this twist to the right, an opening of the heart to the left. And once again, we're going to move with the minimal amount of interruption to our nervous system. So let's hug in the knees to the heart. And bring the feet to the earth and very gently lift your bolster or your cushions over onto the left side. And then return the knees to the heart in Asana before releasing the knees to your bolster or cushions. And again, maintain a connection with your right shoulder in the earth here. So the heart is open to the right. The knees are twisting to the left here. So this twist at the torso. And again, let's offer up our mantra of peace to all beings everywhere. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they have wisdom. May they be blissful. May all be healthy everywhere. May all be peaceful everywhere. May all have wisdom everywhere. May all be blissful everywhere. As we move to the end of our practice, in which I leave you to find your shavasana, invite you to set your timer for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And remember, you can use your bolster, your cushions, your pillows underneath your knees perhaps for support today. So when you're ready, my friends, inhaling to hug your knees to center in Apana Asana. And then release your feet to the earth. And if you wish to slide your bolsters or your blankets underneath your knees and extend your legs here. Again, perhaps you reach for a eye pillow, something to cover your eyes, a blanket to cover your body, Softening here, surrendering the whole body to the earth in Shavasana. Setting yourself up, creating what you need. It is worth spending these minutes in between transitions to set yourself up so that you can hold the poses for longer. Remember, we have an hour here together, but often when you can practice in your own time, especially if you watch the catch-up videos, you can pause and be in that pose for as long as you wish. When you're ready and settled in your Shavasana, closing your eyes, and I'm going to see us out with our mantra today. And then I will close the class without any further interruption to you. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ. Sarve santu nirāmayāḥ. Sarve bhadrani paśyantu. Ma kashchit duḥkha bhagbhavet. Om Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ, Shāntiḥ. Peace within, peace without, peace all around.